Operation Frankenstein, the MiG-29's audacious hammer strike on the FSB. The altimeter spun wildly, blurring past 3,000 meters as the MiG-29 clawed for the sky, every warning receiver screaming a death knell. Russian air defense systems, arrayed for miles, were now wide awake and tracking. What no S-400 operator could comprehend, however, was the impossible payload this geriatric Soviet fighter was about to unleash. The cockpit of the MiG-29, typically a familiar sanctuary for Captain Elias Vance, feels alien this May 26, 2025. Not due to the familiar hum of its Soviet-era systems, but because of what hangs from its wings and glares from a makeshift panel. At 05:45, the pale pre-dawn light barely penetrates the canopy as he straps himself in, the cold metal of the ejection seat a stark reminder of the stakes. This particular MiG-29, a 40-year-old veteran of countless drills and dogfights, now carries a payload its original designers would deem impossible, bordering on heresy. French precision-guided AASM hammer bombs, sophisticated instruments of destruction, are bolted onto pylons never meant to cradle them. Their integration into the jet's ancient avionics is a testament to Ukrainian defiance and battlefield ingenuity. American GPS satellites feeding targeting data through improvised Ukrainian software, a digital Frankenstein cobbled together with what Vance's ground crew affectionately calls zip ties and a prayer. He runs through the pre-flight checks, his fingers moving with muscle memory across the worn switches and dials. Each flick, each click echoes in the quiet cabin, amplifying the solitude and the immense responsibility. On the right-hand side of his instrument panel, a consumer-grade iPad, its screen glowing with a custom-coded interface, is secured with heavy-duty tape. This tablet, a testament to the adage of necessity being the mother of invention, acts as the crucial bridge translating modern targeting data into signals the antiquated MiG-29 can understand and, more importantly, relay to the AASM hammer bombs. Without it, the mission is a non-starter. Vance glances at the iPad's display. The target coordinates glow starkly. Federal Security Service headquarters in Glovo, Belgar Oblast. An FSB facility. The words alone carry a chill, a silent acknowledgement of the audacity of this strike. For 3 years, a tacit understanding existed. Certain targets, those symbols of entrenched power, were simply off-limits. They were untouchable, protected not just by layers of S-400 air defenses and watchful eyes, but by the implicit rules of engagement in a war already pushed to its brutal limits. Until now. The mission profile, even by the rapidly evolving, often insane standards of the Ukrainian Air Force, pushes the boundaries of conventional wisdom. Vance will fly at treetop height, a phantom hugging the Earth's contours, invisible to the sprawling Russian radar network. But then, a sudden, suicidal ascent, a climb to 5,000 meters for weapons release, a maneuver that will instantly paint him on every radar screen from the Ukrainian border to Moscow. He will have, at best, 20 seconds. 20 seconds to release the 2 AASM hammer bombs and plummet back into the radar shadow before the Russian air defenses, particularly the S-400 systems, can formulate a meaningful response. The sheer mathematical impossibility of it is both terrifying and exhilarating. He feels the rumble of the ground crew removing the chocks, a subtle vibration that travels up through the seat. The canopy winds shut, sealing him inside his metallic cocoon, the world outside receding to a muffled roar. The air conditioning system, working overtime, tries to wick away the sweat already forming on his brow. It is 05:58. Time. Vance advances the throttles, the movement deliberate, precise. A deep, guttural growl erupts from behind him as the two Klimov RD-33 turbofans ignite into a furious crescendo. The roar vibrates through the entire airframe, a living beast awakening. 18,000 pounds of thrust surge through the MiG-29's aging structure, a potent, undeniable force. The fighter shudders, then lurches forward, responding instantly to the sudden outpouring of power. This is the pivotal moment, the irreversible commitment. As the jet begins its acceleration down the taxiway, a nearly imperceptible flicker dances across the iPad screen, a momentary digital hiccup quickly smoothed by the custom software. It is gone before Vance can consciously register it, a fleeting ghost in the machine, a whisper of the improvisation holding this impossible mission together. In the growing dawn light, the Frankenstein fighter hurtles toward the runway, its impossible payload straining against gravity. French engineering, American GPS, and Ukrainian determination are welded together by desperation and ingenuity, all converging on a single audacious point. Putin's feared security service, the FSB, is about to learn, definitively, what 3 years of relentless Ukrainian innovation can truly accomplish. At 06:15, the Ukrainian countryside blurs beneath Captain Elias Vance's MiG-29, a green and gold tapestry flattened by the aircraft's furious passage. The jet, an anachronism hurtling through modern airspace, screams at an altitude of just 50 meters, its powerful jet wash a tangible force. Wheat fields ripple and bend in its wake, an organic wave cascading outwards. Flocks of startled birds erupt from cover, scattering in terrified clouds, their frantic cries lost beneath the thunder of the Klimov RD-33 engines. This is ultra-low flight, a demanding ballet of raw power and precise control, the only way to become a ghost in a sky saturated with Russian radar. The terrain following flight is an utterly consuming experience, a relentless, high-stakes dance between man and machine. Vance's hands are locked to the stick, his feet constantly adjusting the rudder pedals, making minute, continuous inputs. Every slight rise in the terrain, every unexpected stand of trees, every looming power line or slender cell tower demands an immediate, visceral response. He dodges farmhouses that appear out of nowhere, their windows momentarily reflecting the flash of his canopy. It is an exhausting, bone-jarring ordeal, yet it is the solitary path to invisibility. The border region is infested with Russian radar arrays, particularly the formidable S-400 systems protecting Belgorod. These systems, theoretically, could track and engage targets at 400 kilometers. But theory bends to the unforgiving physics of the Earth's curvature. At 50 meters of altitude, the radar horizon shrinks dramatically, offering a mere 25 kilometers of detection range. As long as Vance stays low, stays fast, and commits no error, he remains unseen, a phantom slipping through the digital net. The margins for this flight are razor thin, a knife edge dividing success from instantaneous obliteration. The S-400's 92N6 gravestone radar, a technological marvel, cannot pierce the very globe to find him. It is blind to threats skimming the surface, a weakness exploited by Ukrainian ingenuity. The brief digital hiccup Vance observed during pre-flight on the iPad has long since resolved. The custom software is now flawlessly transmitting updated GPS data, its lines of code buzzing with silent efficiency, a hidden engine of the operation. His eyes flicker down to the iPad, still controversially duct-taped to the instrument panel. The target coordinates glow with an unsettling clarity, a silent accusation. The Federal Security Service headquarters in Glovo-Belgorod Oblast. Located just 5 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, it is not merely a random military depot or an anonymous ammunition dump. This is the heart of Putin's old agency, the direct successor to the infamous KGB, the orchestrator of countless clandestine operations against Ukraine. To strike it is not just a tactical decision, it is a profound symbolic act of defiance, a challenge to the very perception of Russian invincibility. Hanging from his wings, the 2 AASM hammer bombs represent the paradoxical fusion of elegance and improvisation that defines this mission. These French-made precision weapons are masterpieces of modern engineering, yet they were never intended to communicate with the primitive Soviet avionics of a MiG-29. The jet's 1980s-era computer systems cannot even comprehend the existence of GPS, let alone process the intricate targeting data from satellites launched decades after its construction. It is a technological chasm that Ukrainian engineers bridged with characteristic battlefield creativity. Custom pylons, fabricated in improvised Kyiv workshops, now cradle the French ordnance. GPS antennas, jury-rigged and robust, are affixed to the forward mounting points, their sensitive arrays drinking in the constant stream of satellite signals. Power cables snake through access panels never designed to be opened, feeding the advanced French electronics with Soviet-era electricity. It is a true Frankenstein of weapon integration, a patchwork of eras and nations united by a single desperate purpose. The AASM hammer itself is a marvel, a kit transforming dumb bombs into devastatingly precise munitions. Each unit, costing more than most people's homes, features an inertial navigation system, meticulously backed up by GPS guidance, capable of placing a 250-kilogram warhead through a specific window from 70 kilometers away. The bomb's range extension kit, a compact solid rocket motor, activates after release, pushing the weapon to near supersonic speeds, adding lethal velocity to its precision. But all this sophisticated French technology means nothing if the Soviet jet cannot tell the French bomb where to go. That is the critical role of the iPad. Running bespoke software, it translates the modern targeting data, derived from the GPS antennas, into a language the bombs can understand. It is the digital equivalent of a universal translator, a vital piece of intermediary technology. It's duct tape, yes, but duct tape performing advanced computation, ready to be tested against the most sensitive target Ukraine has ever dared to strike. In exactly 3 minutes, Vance will abandon the cloak of invisibility and climb directly into the crosshairs. The low-altitude warning tone, a constant companion, abruptly silences in Captain Elias Vance's ears. At 0622, the digital timer on the iPad flashes green, initial point. A surge of adrenaline, cold and sharp, floods his system. This is it. With a grunt, he yanks back on the stick, a violent, almost reckless motion. The MiG-29, a beast unleashed, responds with immediate, brutal force. Its nose pitches skyward, not a graceful climb, but a ballistic launch at a staggering 45-degree angle. G-forces, relentless and unyielding, crush Vance into his seat. His vision narrows at the periphery, gray creeping in, threatening to consume his field of view. He fights it, gritting his teeth, forcing his blood to his brain. The altimeter, a frantic blur, spins wildly past 1,000 meters, then 2,000, then 3,000. He feels the weight of the air, thick and resistant, pressing against the ascending airframe. Then the cockpit explodes. Not with physical ordnance, but with an electronic scream, a cacophony of alarms and warning lights. His radar warning receiver, until this moment eerily silent, erupts into chaos. Every air defense system in Western Russia suddenly, undeniably sees him. A fighter-sized target, an impossible ghost, is climbing directly into their engagement envelope. The S-400 battery southeast of Belgorod, with its formidable 92N6 gravestone radar, is painting him. It measures his speed, his impossible altitude gain, his heading. The electronic warble shifts from a search tone to an urgent, menacing lock-on. Fire control radars, awakening from their low-altitude slumber, are now acquiring him, formulating a solution. Vance has perhaps 45 seconds. 45 seconds from initial detection to potential engagement. The Russians, he knows, operate on conventional attack profiles. They are programmed for high-altitude bombers, cruise missiles with predictable flight paths. They will never anticipate this, a suicidal, vertical pop-up from zero altitude. This is his singular advantage, surprise. It is a gamble, an insane bet that their sophisticated systems, designed for expected threats, will falter against the utterly unexpected. The altimeter finally stabilizes, trembling at 5,000 meters. The iPad, a lifeline in this digital storm, flashes green once more. Release point. His thumb, precise and steady despite the crushing G-forces and the electronic din, finds the weapon release button. Two jarring thuds shake the airframe, a deep vibration that resonates through his bones. The AASM hammer bombs are gone, shed into the cold, thin air. The instant the bombs detach, Vance acts. No hesitation. He rolls the MiG-29 inverted, the earth and sky swapping positions in a dizzying ballet. Then he pulls hard, a desperate, gut-wrenching maneuver that transforms the aircraft's trajectory. This is a modified almond turn, a violent half-loop that would have impressed its namesake, the World War I inventor. The MiG-29 curves through the sky, trading the altitude he so painfully gained for a desperate burst of speed, diving back towards the illusory safety of low altitude. The electronic screams in his cockpit persist, a testament to the myriad of sensors still tracking him. But with each meter he descends, the pressure begins to ease, the radar locks struggling to maintain their hold on his rapidly disappearing signature. He is once again trying to become a ghost, vanishing as abruptly as he appeared. As Captain Elias Vance's MiG-29 violently peels away, plummeting back towards the Earth's protective radar shadow, the two AASM hammer bombs begin their independent journey. A momentary silence hangs in the air, a breath held between release and ignition. Then, with a fierce, blinding flash, their solid rocket motors ignite. A guttural roar, distinct from the jet's own engines, propels them forward. They accelerate with ferocious intensity, carving fiery arcs across the morning sky, racing along their pre-programmed ballistic trajectory towards Glovo. At this critical juncture, the sophisticated minds within each AAM hammer bomb awaken fully. Their onboard GPS receivers instantaneously lock on to the faint, omnipresent signals from American satellites orbiting 20,000 kilometers above. Simultaneously, their inertial navigation systems, robust and self-contained, meticulously measure every minute deviation, every subtle shift in pitch, roll, and yaw. These two guidance systems, working in perfect, intricate harmony, begin making hundreds of micro-corrections per second. Each adjustment, imperceptible to the naked eye, ensures they adhere with unwavering precision to the pre-programmed coordinates, a digital tether to their ultimate target. The Frankenstein of integration has given birth to unstoppable falcons. The AAM hammer is not merely a guided bomb. It is a testament to the evolution of precision weaponry, a miniature masterpiece of French engineering. At its core lies an unjammable guidance package, a profound lesson learned from the crucible of modern conflict. American experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan highlighted a critical vulnerability. GPS jamming is invariably the first move in any sophisticated adversary's playbook. Recognizing this, French designers built the AAM to be resilient. Its nose section houses a seamless marriage of military-grade GPS receivers and ultra-precise ring laser gyroscopes. This inertial navigation system, independent of external signals, can guide the bomb to within 10 meters of its target, using only the memory of its inertial position and the immutable laws of motion, even if every satellite in orbit were suddenly silenced. It is a redundant brilliance, a fail-safe against the most cunning electronic warfare. But it is the middle section, a compact yet potent addition, that elevates the AAM hammer beyond a mere smart bomb. Unlike simpler guided munitions like the American Jam, which primarily guide a falling bomb, the French design incorporates a solid rocket motor. This feature transforms the weapon into a hybrid missile, not merely falling with style, but embarking on a powered flight phase. For just 15 blistering seconds, the rocket motor burns, pushing the bomb to blistering speeds approaching Mach 0.8. This surge of propulsion serves a dual purpose. It dramatically extends the weapon's effective range to 70 kilometers. And critically, it imbues the bomb with the kinetic energy necessary to penetrate hardened targets, driving it through layers of concrete and steel. This accelerated flight also complicates any last-second interception attempts, denying the enemy precious response time. The tail section, the bomb's rudder and wings, contains the control surfaces that choreograph its terminal dive. These are not the crude fixed fins of older munitions, but sophisticated actuated surfaces capable of adjusting their position 50 times per second. Combined with the guidance system, these allow the AASM hammer to execute complex trajectories, even curving back to strike targets from unexpected angles. Today, however, their directive is clear: drive the bombs almost straight down through the roof of the Federal Security Service building. The trajectory is meticulously calculated for maximum structural damage, aiming for a swift, overwhelming impact. The very maneuver Vance just performed, the toss bombing, is a dramatic anachronism, a relic from the height of the Cold War. Developed when nuclear-armed fighter bombers needed to deliver gravity bombs without flying directly over their targets, its physics were deceptively simple. Climb at a steep angle, release the bombs in an upward trajectory, then execute a rapid, evasive turn, letting momentum carry the weapons to their target while the aircraft escaped the blast radius. Simple in theory, yet against modern integrated air defenses like the S-400 Triumph, it was considered nothing short of suicidal. Recontextualized for this mission, however, it becomes a desperate yet brilliantly effective tactic. It exploits the blind spot of sophisticated but predictable systems, turning an outdated maneuver into a potent weapon against an unsuspecting adversary. At 0619, the hum of the S-400 Triumph command post in western Russia is a familiar, comforting drone for Senior Lieutenant Smirnov. He sips his morning tea, the warmth a momentary reprieve from the perpetual vigilance. His eyes, however, never truly leave the panoramic display, a digital tapestry of his assigned airspace. Then the almost imperceptible shifts begin. Two fast-moving contacts appear on his screen, faint but distinct, climbing rapidly from a low altitude approximately 40 kilometers southwest of his position. The system's algorithms, calibrated for threat assessment, swiftly classify them fighter aircraft, probably Ukrainian MiG-29s, based on their radar signature and the aggressive climb rate. Smirnov's teacup clatters onto its console. He has exactly 45 seconds to prevent a catastrophe. The clock is already ticking. The S-400 Triumph system, on paper, is the undisputed king of air defense, a marvel of Russian military engineering. Each battery, a symphony of deadly harmony, integrates multiple elements. The colossal 92N6 gravestone radar, capable of tracking 300 targets simultaneously at ranges exceeding 600 kilometers. Its beam, a silent, invisible net across the sky. Its arsenal, the formidable 48N6 missiles, can reach out 400 kilometers, engaging threats from ground level to 30,000 meters. This system boasts the theoretical ability to intercept even ballistic missiles, cementing its status as the crown jewel of Russian air defense doctrine. It is designed to be impenetrable, a shield against any aerial threat. Yet all that sophistication, that layered complexity, comes with a critical, previously unexamined weakness: time. The S-400 Triumph requires a precise sequence of operations. 10 seconds is the bare minimum from initial detection to engagement, especially when dealing with the sudden, unpredictable appearance of low-altitude pop-up targets. First, the search radar, the all-seeing eye, must detect and classify the threat, moving from a general sweep to a specific focus. Then, the fire control radar, with its surgical precision, needs to lock on, developing a stable tracking solution and a firing solution. The missile itself requires a 3-second countdown from the launch command before it can even leave its rail. Only then does the actual flight time to the target begin. Against the predictable, high-altitude flight paths of bombers or cruise missiles, this timeline works perfectly. Against a fighter executing a reckless vertical toss bombing maneuver, it is catastrophically slow, a digital hourglass draining away precious seconds. Smirnov barks commands, his voice tight with urgency, the calm facade shattered. His crew moves with practiced efficiency, but the ingrained procedures, designed for a different war, betray them. The S-400's sophisticated logic is optimized for aircraft and cruise missiles, not small guided bombs. The 48N6 missiles, massive weapons themselves, are designed to knock down high-value aerial targets, not act as surgical instruments for intercepting precision munitions in a vertical dive. It is, he realizes with a growing sense of dread, akin to trying to swat a fly with a sledgehammer. The elegant solution for one problem becomes a cumbersome liability for another. At 06:26:45, a mere blink from the moment of detection, two colossal 48N6 interceptor missiles roar off their launch rails. They tear into the sky, twin pillars of fire, racing towards the coordinates where the climbing MiG-29 briefly was, now updated to the projected intercept point for the incoming munitions. They scream upwards at Mach 6, a terrifying display of raw power and speed. But the geometry of the situation is fundamentally, fatally wrong. The AASM hammer bombs, propelled by their own rocket motors, are no longer climbing. They are now in a near vertical dive, presenting a minimal radar cross-section. The intercept probability, calculated by the fire control computer, plunges from a confident 85 to a desperate, almost mocking 12. The massive missiles, designed to track and destroy larger, more conventional targets, struggle in vain to adjust to the plunging trajectory of these comparatively tiny, fast-moving objects. The 48N6 missiles pass within 200 meters of the bombs, close enough to trigger proximity fuses under normal circumstances. But the bomb's extreme terminal velocity and steep dive angle place them just outside the effective blast radius, a margin of error that proves catastrophic for Smirnov's mission. The 48N6 warheads detonate harmlessly, their fragments spreading through empty air, a futile burst of shrapnel against an empty sky. Below, the French bombs continue their unimpeded dive towards Glavo, guided by a logic the S-400, in its magnificent complexity, cannot counter. At precisely 0627, the first AASM hammer bomb, a guided missile masquerading as a falling object, punches through the reinforced concrete roof of the FSB headquarters in Gladivo. Its radar proximity fuse, having performed a final infinitesimal calculation, detonates the shaped charge upon impact, not within the building but into it. A searing, focused jet of molten copper, traveling at hypervelocity, carves through steel roof beams and dense concrete floors as if they were butter, an invisible blade cutting through the heart of the structure. Then the main charge. The bomb's fuse, programmed for a minute 0.025-second delay, counts down with electronic precision as the warhead plunges deeper through the building's upper structure. At the optimal point, suspended between floors, 87 kilograms of high explosive convert from solid to gas in microseconds. The ensuing blast wave, an immediate and apocalyptic force, expands outwards at 8,000 meters per second, generating overpressures exceeding 200 psi. This is enough to obliterate anyone caught within its immediate radius, transforming human physiology into a pulped ruin. The building's interior walls, designed meticulously to compartmentalize secrets and safeguard intelligence rather than withstand military ordnance, offer no meaningful resistance. They simply cease to exist. But the physics of destruction are only just beginning their relentless work. The explosion, contained within the enclosed structure, creates a phenomenon known as reflected overpressure. The initial blast wave, rebounding off the surviving walls and floors, doubles, then triples its destructive power, creating a hellish feedback loop of concussive force. Windows don't merely shatter, they explode outward, their glass fragments transformed into shrapnel, later found embedded in buildings 300 meters away. Office furniture, filing cabinets laden with classified documents, computers holding state secrets, all become projectiles, hurtling through the air, pulverizing everything in their path, turning metal into confetti and data into dust. Just 0.3 seconds later, the second AASM hammer bomb arrives. It strikes 20 meters from the initial impact point, its own shaped charge detonating, its high explosive following milliseconds later. By this time, the building's structural integrity is already catastrophically compromised. Load-bearing walls, critical to the tower's stability, are gone. Support columns, integral to its skeletal framework, are shattered, splintered, or vaporized. The second explosion finds a structure already on the verge of collapse and delivers the final, decisive blow. The blast propagates through the weakened framework like a destructive wave, initiating what structural engineers chillingly refer to as progressive collapse. Floor by floor, the once imposing 5-story FSB headquarters begins to consume itself. The fourth floor, losing its support, pancaked onto the third, adding its considerable mass and kinetic energy to the destruction below. Then the fifth floor, now completely unsupported, joins the cascading domino effect. Each successive collapse adds kinetic energy to the unfolding disaster, transforming the entire building into its own wrecking ball. Steel shudders and tears, concrete crumbles into dust, glass rains down like lethal snow. In less than 5 seconds, what had stood as a 5-story symbol of Russian state security, a bastion of secrets and power, became a smoking pile of rubble and pulverized data. The audacious Frankenstein of a mission, combining an aging Soviet fighter, French precision weapons, American satellites, and Ukrainian ingenuity, has delivered its message. It is a testament to 3 years of relentless Ukrainian innovation, forged in the crucible of necessity, proving that even the most formidable fortresses can fall to the unpredictable. This incredible account lays bare the raw power of human ingenuity, born from the crucible of conflict, demonstrating how sheer will can defy even the most advanced defenses. The impossible payload, delivered by a relic of the Cold War, speaks volumes to the human spirit's capacity to overcome. It leaves us questioning how often the seemingly invincible can be utterly blindsided by the desperate yet brilliant unexpected. This is the enduring lesson for those who believed certain targets were beyond reach. This story pushes the boundaries of conventional warfare, forcing us to reevaluate the lines drawn in sand and code. Here at Global Defense, we invite you to consider: was the targeting of a civilian-occupied FSB headquarters even a symbolic center of enemy power, a justifiable act of war, or a dangerous escalation of tactics? Thank you for joining us for this gripping analysis of a truly audacious mission. We look forward to exploring more cutting-edge military narratives with you soon. Next time, we delve into the untold story of the pilot's desperate escape and the high-stakes game of shadows that unfolded as he raced back to Ukrainian lines.